So the first thing is figure out what your child loves to do. And if he doesn't have one, don't feel guilty. Start introducing maybe family hobbies. This is when you can get Great Aunt Sally to, maybe come in and say, I'll offer baking or barbecuing. And Uncle Fred can say, how about me? I'll do woodworking, and do a Zoom one until you figure out what your child loves to do. And don't please assume because you don't like it that it's not something your kid doesn't.
Right.
My favorite story in Thrivers was a dad who said, my son, middle school, drove me crazy because all he talked about was wolves. What middle school kid talks about wolves? But he talked about it so much, he told me he dreamt about wolves. I finally said, okay, I'm going to arrange to have him meet with a park ranger, and enough is enough on this wolf thing. I took him to a park. I sat there and listened and was blown away. My mouth was open the entire time. My kid and that park ranger talked about wolves at a level that I was unreal. He was politely correcting the park ranger on statistics about wolves. And that was my moment that said, forget law. This kid's going into biology.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I figured out who my child was.
So I have to interject here because I'm thinking of all my family coaching clients, many of them who are, this would be great if they'd be interested in wolves or they'd be out in the garage, but they're in their bedrooms playing video games.
Yep.
Oh man, what do we do? How do we dynamite them out of there?
Well, my head is nodding up and down, but on a couple of levels. Level number one is we do know that the pandemic has done something major in terms of tweaking us all and turning us into a different beings. But many of our kids became addicted to those games even more so. Now, the first thing is, what was your before the pandemic? What is your now after the pandemic? Is he using that video game because he doesn't have anything to go to? That would be your red flag. Your second red flag is the change in the behavior. Is he playing the video game? And after he gets done, are you seeing a healthier side, or are you seeing a more active side that is not attractive for your child? That's your next red flag. Does he have anything else to resort to? That's your red flag, because you can't play a video game the rest of your life. And therefore, what New York Times just came out with a fabulous, interesting article on it that said, watch out. You need to start taking back that screen time rules in your house, because when those school doors do open, you got to get them out into the real world, because they haven't been practicing their empathy muscles or their social skill muscles, and they become addicted to it. You may want to do one other little thing, and that's play it with him for just a little bit, so you can see what the heck is he playing. And in some cases, there are some studies that say it actually helps the kid, not hinders the kid. That's what you're watching for. For instance, there are some video games that are enormously wonderful on boosting creativity, problem-solving skills, and virtual reality of empathy. So
there are some.
Take a moment to say, what is he playing?
And Janet, I always put this caveat in: for some kids, video games are their thing. I have a brother who's a video game designer, Michelle, and he was the kid who played video games all the time.
Yeah.
That's not every kid. And we do hear from a lot of people that my boy's not interested in anything. If I didn't, he would never. And I'm sure you've heard those things too.
Yes.
One thing that I have seen is that often we adults, teachers and parents, again, very well-meaning, we squash our boys' interests before they even have a chance to emerge. We hinder them. How can we as the grown-ups be aware of doing that? What should we maybe not do so much to allow some things to blossom and come forth?
Well, let me give you what the boys say.
Perfect.
Because they're
better yet.
Wonderful. The boys say, give us time. The boys say, Mom, sometimes it's better if you don't say anything, if you just stand there and be with me. It's okay if you just be with me, but sometimes you just may say the wrong thing. Now, that's okay. If you say the right thing, that's absolutely fine. Boys say, please don't keep helicoptering us. I can't believe how many boys knew that term. You're helicoptering us. You're always doing it for us, and you're robbing us of learning it ourselves. That was like, I started writing notes on how many times that term kept coming up. I said, you know that term? Oh yeah, we know that term. And it doesn't help us any, because we got to figure out how to face adversity, you know. It's going to be part of our world. They said that. A group of 17-year-olds, in fact, one kid, this is prior to the pandemic, I said, so what's the most valuable thing that happens? The most valuable thing that happens, if you sort of step back a little bit, give us a little bit of time and watch us to see if it gives how we respond to it. And then ask us,